Good evening, everyone. Uh, this is Mr. Mwenyo with Social Policy and Administration. First thing first, you can learn anything, and there is no subject or course that is harder than the person that is taking that course. So, shall we begin? So, we're starting with the definition, and then we'll look at the scope of social policy and administration. So first of all, before we define what social policy and administration is, we need first of all to define what social policy is as well as social administration. Then we'll combine the definitions to have one meaningful definition for social policy and administration. So first thing first, according to Michael Hill, in 2021, he defined social policy as a set of interventions, strategies, and actions designed by the state and the other actors to promote social welfare, alleviate social problems, and improve the overall well-being of individuals and communities. So this is one definition of social policy, and since you are scholars, come up with your own definition of social policy using the main key or the key terms or words that you've seen in this definition. All right. Then, what is social administration? On the other hand, Frank and his friend in 2019 defined social administration in this way. They said that social policy is the process of implementing and managing social policies through various governmental and non-governmental institutions, including the allocation of resources, coordination of services, and monitoring of outcomes. So from these definitions, we see that there is an aspect of managing the welfare of somebody. And in this case, what we want to manage is the welfare of people. So from the definition that we had earlier for social policy, we've seen that it's just a set of interventions or strategies that are used by a given nation to look after people, to uplift the welfare of its given people. So now, on the other hand, when you're looking at social administration, we are saying it is a process of implementing and managing social policies through various governmental and non-governmental institutions, including the allocation of resources, coordination of services, and the monitoring of outcomes. So here, there is an aspect of managing, implementing, and also directing or controlling, because we see that there is the act of monitoring the outcomes of what was implemented. So there is an act of implementing a social policy, then this social policy should be managed, all right? And then who manages this? It's the government and also non-governmental institutions, such as, for example, in Zambia, you can talk of World Vision as a non-governmental organization. And then we have various government institutions that promote social administration, all right? So let's move on. So now let's define social policy and administration, having looked at those two definitions. All right. So I'm saying social policy encompasses the principles, strategies, and actions formulated by the state and other actors to address social issues, promote social welfare, and enhance the well-being of individuals and communities. So social administration refers to the process of implementing and organizing or managing these social policies through the government and non-governmental solutions, rather institutions involving tasks such as resource allocation, service coordination, and outcome monitoring. So now here, as a student, your task that you have now, you need now to get that the definition that we have on top, you combine it with the one that we have down there, then come up with a definition of social policy and administration so that you can have a better understanding. All right. Okay, let's move on. Now let's look at the scope. By scope, we mean What are we going to be looking at in this course? What constitutes social policy and administration is what we mean when we say scope. So the scope of social policy and administration is, excuse me. Okay, so the definition of social policy, the scope of social policy and administration is what we are going to cover in this course. All right. So now we have a number of issues that we are going to look at, or branches of social policy, or subjects or subtopics that we'll be dealing with. So we'll start with the social issues. We'll deal with poverty alleviation and etc. We'll look at policy formulation. We'll look at policy implementation, because remember we said that social administration refers to as a process of implementing social policies. So it is fundamental or vital for us to learn about policy formulation, policy implementation. Then also look at governance and institutions, also look at stakeholder engagement, as well as policy evaluation and impact assessment. Remember what we said after the definition of social administration. We said that, what we said is this. We said that outcome monitoring. So if we are going to monitor the outcomes, then it is fundamental for us to do what? To look at policy evaluation and impact assessment. All right, so let's now look at social issues, because this is our first issue that we need to tackle here. So let's look at social issues. Now, under social issues, the things that we're going to deal with is poverty alleviation, income inequality, and employment and job security, healthcare and public health, education and skill development, housing and homelessness, social exclusion and discrimination, aging and elderly care, and then the last one that we'll look at is child welfare and family support. All right, so let's begin with poverty alleviation. All right. Now, before we deal with poverty alleviation, we need to understand what the term poverty means, or what poverty is. So poverty refers to a state of deprivation characterized by the lack of essential resources and capabilities needed for a decent standard of living. All right. Refers to a situation that is characterized by essential resources and capabilities needed for a decent standard of living. So that is what we call poverty. In other words, poverty is simply lack of basic needs, and that definition referred to what we call absolute poverty, because it involves the lacking of what a human being needs to survive, which is the basic needs such as shelter, water, as well as clothing, all right, and food. So those that definition equates to what is known as absolute poverty. When you lack basic needs are simply things that should be there for your survival. Now, if you lack this, then we mean you are in a state of absolute poverty. All right. So we are saying poverty is a dimensional concept that extends beyond income or material possessions and encompasses various aspects of human well-being, such as access to education, healthcare, adequate housing, clean water, sanitation, and social participation. All right. So let's move on. Now, we are saying that poverty, like we've said earlier, it is a multidimensional, meaning it can be defined by a single way or in a single manner. Why? Because it can manifest in different forms, including absolute poverty, like we said, where individuals or households lack the basic necessities to meet their basic needs. And then relative poverty, which refers to a situation where individuals or households have significantly lower living standards compared to the broader social, compared to the broader society they belong to. So that is what is known as relative poverty. By comparison, we are saying poverty can manifest in different forms, including absolute poverty, where you as an individual or a given household lack the basic needs or necessities to meet their basic needs. So, for example, having 3 meals or 2 meals in a day, which is, or actually 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and the dinner or the supper. So that's what we mean, or lacking where to sleep, lacking shelter. That is what is referring to. We refer to as absolute poverty. Then we have relative poverty, which refers to as a situation where individuals or households have significantly lower living standards compared to the broader society they belong to. For example, we are giving an example of, let's say, you stay in Kumayad. You stay Kumayad, and then in that Kumayad, there is an expected way of living that is associated to that Kumayad. Right? For example, in Kaplonga, there is a way in which you should live when you stay that side, or in Ibex, those that are in Lusaka. Now, if you live in the way that the larger society is not living, then we are calling that relative poverty. All right, now let's define what poverty alleviation is. Okay, so we are saying poverty alleviation, also known as poverty reduction or poverty eradication, refers to the set of policies, strategies, or actions aimed at reducing and ultimately eliminating poverty. All right, so we are saying poverty alleviation refers to the set of policies or strategies and actions aimed at reducing and ultimately eliminating poverty. The goal of poverty alleviation is to improve the well-being and quality of life of individuals and communities by addressing the root cause and the consequences of poverty. So poverty alleviation goes a step further, not only by providing people with food so that they can eat and again tomorrow they suffer, but it goes a step further in addressing the root cause and consequences of this poverty. Okay, so like determining what has caused this family to reach this level. Is it lack of education? As you know, education is the best equalizer. It's the key to success, all those things. A society that lacks educated people is a dead society, because that society is dysfunctional. It cannot be innovative. It cannot be creative, because people are not going to thrive in this world that we are living in, which is the 21st century technology-led generation. Okay, so now let's move on. Let's look at the ways in which we can alleviate poverty. Okay, poverty alleviation efforts can include a range of interventions, such as, number one, income support. All right, providing financial assistance, cash transfers, or social security programs to individuals or households living in poverty to meet their basic needs. If you live in Zambia, you know that there is what is known as social cash transfer. The monies they are giving toward people, the handicapped. This is the way of alleviating poverty, because those people initially they live in poverty. Now, what are some of interventions that we should do? Number one is income support, providing financial assistance, cash transfers, also known as in Zambia social cash transfer, or security programs to individuals or households living in poverty to meet their basic needs. And this is what we're doing in Zambia. All right, then education and skill development. This is very important. Like I said earlier, a society that lacks education and skill, then it is a dysfunctional society, because it is not going to be creative and innovative. It is only through education that we can have a changed mindset. So we are saying improving access to quality education and vocational training to enhance individuals' capabilities and increase their chances of securing better job opportunities and income. It is only when you get a better education can you get a better job. So, the government of Zambia, or alleviating poverty, can be brought about by providing more skills development programs and better education. Because education, like we said, is the best thing that you can ever do or invest in. Why? Because it is the best equalizer. It's the key to success. For you to get a high-paying job, you need to be educated. So education is one of the ways in which we can alleviate poverty. And then healthcare and social protection. Ensuring access to affordable healthcare services, health insurance, and social protection programs to safeguard individuals and households from health-related risks and financial burdens. Why do we need this? We need this because health individual or health nation is a wealth country. Why are we saying this? When people are healthy, they'll be able to attend the school, they'll be able to go to work and be productive. Now, if people are sick, then it means that these people won't work. These people won't be productive. So we need healthcare and social protection. And we mean that we need to ensure access to affordable healthcare services, health insurance, and social protection programs to safeguard individuals and households from health-related risks and financial burdens. All right, let's move on. Okay, we are still looking at ways of alleviating poverty. And another important aspect of alleviating poverty is employment and economic opportunities. So what do we mean here? We mean promoting job creation, entrepreneurship, and economic development to provide sustainable livelihoods and income generation for those living in poverty. So we need to provide opportunities for entrepreneurship, all right? For entrepreneurship and promoting job creation so that we can help the youths, all right? And this will bring about economic development, because when we give more jobs to people, then we are going to have more taxes coming in, because the major source of income by the government is through taxes. So if you employ more people, then it means that you are going to be getting a lot of taxes as a government. The government only gets a huge amount of money from its coffers through taxes. That's why we have revenue, what is ZRA, Zambia Revenue Authority. That is specifically, getting monies through taxes. All right. Then we have social services and infrastructure. Investing in public services such as housing, sanitation, clean water, and transportation to improve living conditions and enhance the overall well-being of individuals and communities is very important. All right. Let's move on. We have empowerment and social inclusion. Encouraging social inclusion and empowerment of marginalized and vulnerable groups such as women, children, persons with disabilities, and ethnic minorities by ensuring their participation in decision-making processes and addressing social barriers. Why are we doing this? Women should be supported. Why should we empower women? Because they are the most vulnerable. Why should we empower children? Because they don't have the capacity to support themselves. Why should we empower vulnerable groups? Because, as we've said, they don't have the capacity to provide for themselves. And then people living with disabilities, these people can't work. But what we can do is that we can give them a platform through which they can express their views on how they can be helped. All right, then we have sustainable development. So adopting environmentally sustainable approaches to economic and social development, recognizing the interdependence between poverty alleviation and environmental conservation. So this point is just saying that poverty alleviation is closely related to what? An environment. So, for example, a degraded area is not going to be productive. An impoverished environment is not going to be productive because people cannot do farming. Therefore, there is a need for to improve or to engage in sustainable development, adopting environmentally sustainable approaches to economic and social development. All right. So by doing this, we can alleviate poverty. Next class will be looking at income inequality. Thank you so much. You can learn anything. I've been quick because I need to attend to another class. Thank you so much.